for me hauling ass across.
This is true. This is true. This is true.
Yes, sir. What's up, brother?
What's up, brother? How are you?
Oh, dude, I'm good.
Yeah.
It is. I can't believe it's Friday. It's
Yeah,
like I can't believe it's
Friday
not
either.
butter, man. Holy hell!
There's
It's like
so much going on right now. It's phenomenal. Also into school year, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot going on, dude. Last week you crushed it. I loved having Bill and Scott in here and have them. Like they did so good. I
Those
can't wait
guys,
for them to do more. I feel like we gave them the gateway drug, and now they're just gonna crush the internet.
Well, you
So,
saw this. You're in the email thread, so you saw that they have absolutely like they have been to the mountain,
Yes.
and now they understand
Yes.
the mountain.
And that's why people need to get in here and just like do a test run.
Right.
Like even if you don't post anything, like just get in here, do a test run, realize like Rick's got you like a tiny little baby frog. He'll walk you across the forest. Like it'll be great. So anyway, good job.
Thank you, man. And dude, kudos to you as a talent scout.
Yeah. Well,
mean-
it was forced.
And
so.
I got to admit, I was jealous because I was predisposed for another. And now the RP event at the Harley place last night was cool.
Yes.
But the deal that you did with those guys, even just seeing the handful of photos, it's like, damn.
Last night was so fun. So we went to so they work with the ICAA, which is like the arts and whatever
architectural.
So cool. So went down to the design district. And they had all these different like design shops and warehouses open, after hours. So my favorite place, I wish I could remember the name. You shout them out. My favorite place was like they had all these doors from like
That's
the
the thing I saw.
16th century,
I was like,
17th century. I mean,
dude.
they were amazing. These fireplaces from like it was very
Which
very cool.
is one of those things where you don't realize that a lot of work goes into the aesthetics of
Absolutely,
a high end
yes.
fill in the blank, whether it's a high end office
correct.
or a high end home, a high end resort, whatever. And just seeing those photos of like, dude, those are legit. It's not like reclaimed bullshit or whatever. Like, not that there's anything like those are cool too. Like, oh, this was a barn from 1817 or whatever. Okay, kind of cool. But like there, where you're like, oh, this is from.
No, there was one door I think Jesus made. I'm like, I think this was like that's how old it was. I was like, I think he did this one. So,
and there's like, oh, here's this Franciscan monk's front door to their abbey or whatever, and it's like, dude, okay, that's super legit. And then you get into the marble and all the different elements and all that.
Very fun.
And the fact that those guys were the absolute epitome of a treasure trove of stories, information, knowledge.
Well, and that's the epitome of what you and I are talking about all the time. Like these are guys that are amazing at what they do, and their knowledge is beyond belief, right? Like Princeton, Cambridge, like they know their stuff at such a high level, and they're phenomenal at what they do, right? So it's like, that's why I've basically been berating them, right, for the entire time we've been coaching, of like,
them.
I am going to get you out to the world, right? Like I love that you're on these committees and hiding more or less, right? But like I want to take you to the world, because there's so many people that don't know, right? They couldn't find a pen on the floor, right? And then there's these guys that are brilliant. So it's like you kind of like when we talked to Metrotex the other week. You owe it to the world, to get good at marketing, to make it not feel. Some people are like, I don't want to feel salesy. It's like, cool, then get good. Right, like salesy is just half-assing it most of the time. Then get great at marketing, telling stories.
And I say it facetiously often, but it's like have a gimmick.
Yeah.
Where it is, if it is your actual thing and your niche, those guys. It was multi-level. It was the 7-layer burrito of interesting.
Well, interview them for 18 hours.
Yeah,
and
they get going, and there's an element there of okay. Not only do they know what they're doing,
right,
but they are clearly into what they do, which because there's a difference, man. I know a lot of people that know a lot about a lot, and you can kind of figure out. Like even I said it last week, it's like there are some even at the big events where it's essentially based on being a highly efficient, productive, whatever, revenue generating, and they're like, hey, how's it going? Oh my God, launch me into space, get me out of here. And
here's the thing: I don't think it has to be like that. Right, so it's like, what's the secret to like actually enjoying what you do, and realizing like work is going to be a big part of your life. So you may as well figure out something. It's not, and it's not so much even figuring out the right thing. It's like figuring out who you're going to be as you do the thing, and right, it's not just about like finding your passion. Like that's cool, but there's not a single job out there that doesn't have some sort of crap to it.
Right.
Right. Like I can't remember the phrase you always say, but like there's something like every job has something where it's cleaning the floor or whatever.
Yeah.
Like you have something you don't want to do.
And like coming back to, I love your thing of the intention and reflection. Yeah. It's like, okay, well, and if you're not going to intentionally figure out what you like to do, well, then you're just at the whim of the 4 winds.
Absolutely. My biggest thing is when someone looks at their schedule and they go, oh, I'm like, your schedule should match your goals, right? Like when you write out schedules, like, hey, I may not love every aspect of it, right? Like I didn't necessarily love getting up early this morning, going to the gym, but I love that my schedule gets me where I want to go.
Yes.
And it allows me to take care of my kids, take my work, right? So like when you look at your schedule, there should be part of you that goes like, I love this thing because if I do this, it gets me where I want to go. This actually creates freedom because I can say no to everything else and say yes to this stuff. But if your schedule doesn't feel that way, change the schedule.
So now I had this thing, and even still, it plagues me on a certain level where I had the puritanical work ethic, which is a good thing. So like, shout out to all of my extended family, relatives, etc., that had kind of hammered that into me. Yeah. Even though in the moment when it was happening, I looked like the least likely workaholic. You know, as far as like future workaholic, you wouldn't have gone like, oh, it's that guy. Yeah. But there is something to be said for that puritanical work ethic where you just go. But it also has a dark side, or at least I found where it's almost like learning to relax or let go or not be a workaholic is a completely different role to learn. And just in scaling, so like scaling the business, well, just by definition, if you are scaling, that means everything is bigger. Right. And I don't think any human out there has managed to shove more than 24 hours into a day. Yeah. No. And your bandwidth decreases, yet the puritanical work ethic, it's like you need to be, and there's something about you need to be doing more, or, you know, and there's this weird paradox of letting go and building the team and letting that flourish that, one, it actually has a payoff equal to the thing of like, I just built this pyramid by myself, you know, and that also, you're not killing yourself on it anymore. But now, do you find that a lot of folks, kind of going back to what you were just saying a second ago, where it doesn't have to suck, but you think it does?
Well, and that's kind of like that thing that we grew up with. Like, there's kind of this, I call it Midwest syndrome, but there's kind of like Midwest syndrome where like, it has to be brutal.
Yes.
Like it has to be an 18-hour day, and then maybe I've earned 2 shekels. And like, but there's kind of like that Midwest, like, you know, like if I just like suffer enough, maybe it'll be semi-okay. And like you said, there's this third place, like I don't have to like kill myself, but also like if I nap every day all day long, like that's not good either. But it's figuring out how you want to go through it. And then there's seasons, like it's complicated. There's a lot to it.
Yes.
But I think that one of my clients last week, actually, she was at an event, and he said that him and my other client were out the night before drinking and trying to figure out, they're like, why do we love coaching with Wayne, right? We've coached with all these amazing people. What is it about Wayne? And I'm like, okay, this is going to be interesting. And what they came up with, or at least the part they shared with me, was he helps us have success without the collateral damage.
Ooh.
And I was like, I love the way you phrase that, right? It's like, I'm going to succeed without like screwing up this part of my life, or without like abandoning my family for 10 years while I build. It's like without my health just going to crap. Right. You know what I mean? I'm going to do it in a way that aligns with me, that's taking care of people, but being true. Like there's so many ways to do it. So I think there is a way. I mean, I know there's a way to do it. So many of my clients are exceedingly more happy now than they were when they started working with me. And within 6 to 8 months, it's amazing how their lives shift. And they go like, I actually love my life now. And it's never just one simple thing. It's usually, hey, these 30 little tweaks, and then added together, it's like, okay, I have a whole new life. And then figuring out, kind of like we're talking about, like what do successful people do, and get that dialed in, and look at other examples.
Well, hey, we've got our visual aid. Yes.
There we go.
In case you were wondering, what do successful people do? Read every day. Does Audible count? This is the age-old debate.
Yes.
Absolutely it does.
Yes, absolutely it does. Yes.
Absolutely
now, you still have to pay attention.
Yes.
But if people are like, well, I don't pay attention when I listen to Audible. Like, I've read 3 pages and not known what it says before. So, like, it's the same struggle, you know, for me both ways.
And I read on the iPad every night before I go to bed.
Yeah.
And now, mind you, I'll pull the curtain. I'm reading comic books.
Yeah.
But I will still,
There you go.
I will pick up where I left off the day before and be like, I have no recollection of any of this. I got to
start all over again.
Yeah.
All over again. Yes.
What do you, okay, compliment. What do you mean by that?
So, I mean,
you compliment others?
Well, I think it's two things. I think it's compliment others. I think it's beautiful. Like if you see greatness in somebody, like shout it out. Like, man, I love this about you. And I think it's also like writing down some of your wins, being proud of some of the things you've done. So I think it goes like treat yourself like you want to treat other people, and it's pretty amazing. Yeah, I love that part.
I think that probably gets overlooked. Yeah. Embrace change, dude. Man, I don't know what it is about that other than just human nature where I want to resist. Yeah. Even if I know it's going to be good, it's like, oh, there's just a pushback automatically. Yeah. And yet when I look back historically, rearview mirror, I can retroactively connect dots based on, oh, if I would have stonewalled that, that wouldn't have happened. Yeah. And we wouldn't be here.
I think there's two really huge principles here. One is success people I know, first off, is they time travel. So they go into the future and they go like, hey, what's the impact of this 6 months from now? Or not necessarily just like today, this is going to be hard, but like if I don't do this now, what's the impact 6 months from now or a year from now? So I think they time travel really well.
I love that.
I think the second thing they do is, and like one of my good friends, Hank, is so good at this. He does it before he has to.
Ooh.
Right. So it's like, hey, I need to, like, if there was one time he needed to leave an organization and he probably left 8 months before he really needed to, meaning like it would have like just slowly got worse and worse and worse and worse.
Died on the vine.
Exactly. Yeah. But like, I love that, like when he sees the writing on the wall, he just takes action. So you do things before you have to do them or you're forced to them. I think is beautiful.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And what you were saying about like the time travel, also, I would say, this goes back to your reflection thing where you try to give yourself credit for, hey, that I knew that thing was going to suck.
Right.
And I pulled the trigger early. And then, dude, look at all of the good that came of that.
Absolutely.
You know, and even now, whenever like Tanner and I are in the final stages of the honeymoon phase or whatever, and just like yesterday, we were kind of meeting for a minute and it was like, dude, we are kicking ass and all of these other things are lined up. So just the fact that we did the pain in the ass heavy lifting of combining the two back ends and the two,
so much
cloud storage, just all the mundane horse shit that is just stacked on top. Where if you live to be 1,000, there would hardly ever be a day where you're like, you know what I want to do? I want to combine cloud storage accounts. You know what?
And
it's like, you know what? Let's go ahead and incorporate editing across the board with all the different folks that we've. It's like, no, nobody wants to do that.
Yes.
But it's the whole thing of like, do it early. Yeah. Even if you just do a little bit every day.
Yeah.
You ultimately come out the other example I would use would be, oh my God, the forensic shit with the CPA like a year ago or whatever. It was like that gal beat my ass every day for 2.5 months. But now, there's these nice little report. All this stuff comes in and it's like they know what everything is. And there might be like 1 or 2 things a month.
Yeah.
What I had a call every week and there would be a spreadsheet in advance of the call.
Right.
Like what's the, and I'm like, as if I even know.
I still think I have a spreadsheet from like a week ago she's like, hey, would you go through it? I'm like, I will. And I'm like, eventually. So then you have like forgive others, which I think is beautiful. I think how you do that is great. So like grace with recommitment is a principle that I live behind, right?
Elaborate.
Even with myself. So like, hey, messed up yesterday. Like, okay, I'm going to give myself grace, but grace with just more grace leads to like apathy and complacency.
Yeah. Well,
and
that's just a get out of jail free card.
Yeah. So it's like grace with recommitment. So it's like, so if a team member like, hey, this is not good. I understand. Like, I'm not here to like kick your head in. And I want to know exactly what we're doing different moving forward to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Right on.
So like that grace with recommitment, I think is really important.
That's a shirt. That's a shirt.
You use that with others and yourself. So
talk about ideas, dude. I'm all about that.
Yeah.
All day, every day.
Yeah.
And this other weird thing that I've found here recently is the more people I invite into the circle or just to the table to talk. So like everybody can come to the table and hang for a minute and talk. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to have a seat at the table, but man, that just opens up. Even just the day before yesterday, we were at that totally over the top. Kudos to Jordan and Lance for that one. The mansion party.
It was so cool.
The mansion party was redonkulous. And just bumping into a bunch of folks there. Yeah. And, now we got Colleyville up and almost running, but it's dialed in and it's getting there. And then to just start inviting Tarrant County people to the table to be, you know, like, look, you know, I learned to drive in Tarrant County and I graduated high school in Tarrant County, but that was a long ass time ago. So I don't know shit about Tarrant County now. And that's another thing is the talk about ideas where it's like, the first thing for me is a lot of times to be like, this seems like a good idea, but I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And then actually get other people's advice.
They also, and you get better. I mean, unsuccessful people just talk about other people. Successful people talk about ideas. But I think successful people also have better and better ways of talking about ideas, right? So like, I love, there's one form we use like the impact filter, which is like, what's the goal? What would have to happen for this to be a win? Like, what's the upside? What's that like? But it has like several questions on there where it's like, okay, let's flush this out in a really effective way. So we're not just, you know,
not just a knee-jerk decision.
Exactly. Yeah.
Continuously learn.
All day, every day.
Yep.
What about accept responsibility?
Oh man, you know what's funny is I would say prior to sobriety, that was not a thing. that was just not. I mean, because it's so much easier to stay jacked up and you know justify that lifestyle if there are all these external forces, you know, like conspiring against you.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure where. It's almost like if you have the genetic thing for addiction or substance abuse or whatever, that it almost triggers an external locus of control as your kind of baked in mindset. But the flip side of that is the more that you actually lean into recovery and turn into a different version of yourself, the easier it is to be like, oh, I totally effed that up.
Yeah.
And the other weird thing I find, and let me know if this happens in your world too, where, man, a lot of folks out there in the normal everyday world, they are not ready for somebody to go like, oh, dude, that's totally on me.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like ready for the blame game or a fight or some sort of confrontation. Like, nope, oh, that ain't shit. Whoops, sorry about that. That's on me. Or, hey, yeah, we totally dropped the ball on that. Here, you can have your money back and your content.
Right.
And they're like, what? And it's like, what else do you want me to say? You know, I'm not going to sit here and try to justify, you know, fill in the blank ridiculous situation or whatever, even though like 21 years ago, I absolutely would have.
For sure.
I would have picked the wrong hill to die on, planted the flag and just dug in. And then, you know, a week later going like, oh, that was
what are we doing? Yeah.
That was awful.
Yeah.
What do we got here?
Gratitude. Dude, I mean, here's what's cool. Fear and gratitude can't live in the same place.
Correct.
Right? So like getting in a ritual of gratitude is man, it's one of the best gifts you can give yourself.
Yes. And again, I'll just bring it because it is a constant recurring theme in recovery.
Yeah.
And early on when your life sucks and nothing's really going well and it's like, I just had to quit getting drunk every day or what, you know, all the, you know, like the perceived downside of sobriety. Well, it's hard to be grateful. And especially whenever, if you've jacked your life up bad enough that you need to go get sober, you are probably, yeah, we have camera. Oh, we had overheated camera. So if you've jacked your life up bad enough in needing recovery, things aren't going well.
Yeah.
And there's not a whole lot to be grateful for.
Right.
And the other thing on the flip side of that is you learn to essentially have, usually it's like something stupid at the beginning, like a real cornball kind of like, I'm grateful that I woke up this morning. I'm grateful that I had breakfast. I'm grateful that I have shoes on my feet. And then, but in all honesty, I came in this morning and it was like, I love this place when there's just me and I just turn on one or two lights and it's just got this very like moody lighting and everything. And it is like, dude, the gratitude that I have, and then I get fired up that we're going to do this, you know, and it's just a lot of fun. And I'm not sure why, but man, when I'm having fun, gratitude is like super easy.
Absolutely.
And then the flip side is like, it's difficult when things are difficult.
Yes.
You know, and I'm probably going to butcher this and I can't remember exactly how it was said, but it was joy is like an extension of gratitude whenever things, it's like happiness and joy aren't the same thing.
No.
Like, gelato from downstairs, that makes me happy or whatever. But the joy that you would have in living and what you're doing or whatever would be there even in the downtime, even when it's like, oh, I'm having a shitty day, but I'm still kind of overjoyed about everything. And that's another weird kind of like woo-woo, let's not really talk about our feelings, but one of those things I'm trying to like lean into more. So now what about you as far as like the sense of gratitude?
I think that it's one of the best things that helps me recover, especially when I get in my head, right? So I'll get in my head comparing myself to others. I'll think about like the things that aren't going well or whatever it is. And so literally forcing myself to come up with the 4 or 5 things I'm grateful for is huge. And then giving gratitude to other people is a really good way for me to recover too. So like if I'll call 2 or 3 people and give them gratitude. But I think it's so much about perspective. And if I'm living in a state of fear, then I'm not living in a state of gratitude. And it's just like it's kind of like that quote. There's an unlimited amount of things that are not going well, and then there's an unlimited amount of things that are going well, and I get to choose my state. And I get to choose my state based on what I'm doing with my body, based on the words I'm doing, and based on what I'm focused on. And I think that adjusting your focus is one of those powerful tools that we underutilize. I can either focus on the rearview mirror, or I can focus on where I'm going, right? I can focus on what's not working, I can focus on what's working. And I think that it's a choice.
So now, whenever you say that you're changing your is that something like you can actually force yourself to do, or you can, not force, train yourself to do?
Yeah.
That would probably be. So now, how does one?
Well, think about a white elephant.
Ah.
Okay? Now think about a black wolf.
I see.
Right, like you can change it that fast.
Yes. Okay. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
And now, do you have like any kind of practical, like an exercise for?
Yeah, so like every morning it's writing down 3 things I'm grateful for.
Okay.
It's at the end of the day sitting with my kids around dinner and going highs and lows. Right? What were the highs from today? What were the lows from today? What are you grateful for? Like that's another big piece of it.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Okay. And then set goals, obviously. Set goals and develop life plans. That's right in your wheelhouse.
Yeah. Yeah. All day, every day.
So now, obviously, it's best for somebody to actually have a helping hand in that sort of thing, which is where you come in.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so I'm always interested too.
So like, go. Do you have the victim? I want to hit this real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And then we'll probably wrap. But here's what this goes back. By the way, I love this gimmick. Yes, it's so cool.
Isn't this badass?
But like when you talk about all this, you talk about embracing change, forgiving others, continually learning, accept responsibility. Like here's what I think is beautiful about this is you can live in 1 or 2 states. You can live in a judger state or a learner state. And I think most of us have been conditioned to live in a judger state. Well, at least a lot of like successful people, they live in a judger state, right? And judger state is like, I can't believe I did that wrong. I have to do better tomorrow, right? Like, why am I screwing this up, right? Like, it's judgmental. It's automatic. It's just like beating yourself up. It blames usually you or everybody else, right? It's kind of know-it-all. It's inflexible. It's all these things, right? Right, but what happens is, and there's a lot of high achievers that get really far in judger mode, right? They're like, I beat myself up to the point that, right? But at a certain point, you're just really tired to beat up.
Well, and it's diminishing returns.
At 100, yeah, that's a great way to put it.
You know what's funny is, so is it the Myers-Briggs?
Sure.
Which one is the whatever there's the one that's the letters, there's the one that's the colors, there's the one that's enneagrams or numbers.
There's puppies, there's a whole
But I'm INTJ.
Okay.
Which is the
like
judgiest.
What is that? It's not the Enneagram. What is that one?
I thought it was Myers-Briggs.
Maybe it is. I can't remember them all.
I think.
I get lost.
We'll circle back on Myers-Briggs.
JJ7352. Perfect.
But it's funny because this is me naturally.
Yeah.
And then this is me with not only sobriety, but a little bit of course correction and coaching and having friends that are a little bit further on the path as far as and one of the things that I can do now that I couldn't have done before is I'll give myself credit for like, wow, I got pretty far in spite of all this bullshit that is naturally occurring in my head. And like the know-it-all, inflexible, and oh my God, if we had the ex-wives hotline.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
If they were to call in.
Call in, yeah. Please no.
And it's like, it's so funny because I don't think they would even recognize me.
Yeah.
From, even just from the part where we're like, wow, that was weird.
Yeah. There you go.
But like you were right about quite a bit.
And here's the thing: it's kind of fun now that we can catch ourselves over here. Like,
oh yeah,
man, I spent way too long in that lane. But it's like 2 lanes, you know what I mean? And this lane goes to like this pit of quicksand that just kind of takes you to hell. And it just like keeps you stuck, and you're not moving forward, and you're just like in that beat up place. And then at any time though, you can switch over to this lane, which is like but like you just said, it's responsive and thoughtful. It's flexible, adaptive. But here's what's cool. I can switch lanes just with a question. Instead of like what's wrong with me, it's like, what did I learn? What will I do different next time? Right? What caused this to happen? What can I do different in the future? So it's like this is where it's like we're giving yourself grace with recommitment, right? It's like, oh, here's what I learned, and here's what I'm going to do different. Over here, it's just like I suck, and I just have to work harder, which doesn't get us very far.
Bigger hammer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Okay, and so to take us out though, what I really like, all right, we got these. This is it. Okay, we're gonna do a little forensics on.
Oh, there we go.
Where'd you go?
Oh, I disappeared. I haven't posted enough. There we go. I'm in there somewhere.
Oh shit.
There we go. The man, the myth, the legend. Jay Cook is heating up the screen. There we go. I'm gonna have to get the team to post something in the next 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
okay. Now
I disappeared.
Let's look for. Oh wow! It thinks I like girls.
Yeah. I'm not even on your search history. I mean, man, so disappointing. There we go.
One new post. Oh yeah. They are slacking. Oh. Okay, what do we got?
A video about how to get listings, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. So now I'm just curious now because for the last few weeks we've been talking about content. We did Throttle Up. So clearly you have content days where now you're not formulating all these things yourself, are you?
No. Thank God for Pam and AJ and the whole team. They do a great job.
But the beauty is you're the one actually doing this part.
Right.
And so that's the thing that a lot of folks don't understand. It isn't like you have, this goes right back to the coaching thing. And it would be the flip side of coaching, or it would run parallel where dude, we are getting mad views. So I'm the exact same way. I have no idea what gets posted on the business accounts most of the time. I mean, I made the stuff or I was there.
Absolutely.
But the one you said about you are a marketing company. You are not, not just a realtor or whatever. Dude, that's already getting a couple thousand views just in a day on YouTube Shorts. But here, where, what do you do? Like one content day every couple weeks?
It's usually every week I'll do a couple. Okay. I'll maybe do an hour and a half of content, and then we're doing other things like the events and stuff, which are great. But what's cool? So I have a whole virtual assistant team. And they're on the team. They just live far away.
Same.
Right. But what Pam will do is Pam will curate a bunch of content, and she'll go into our spreadsheet. And she'll be like, hey, here's the script for this. Here's the script for this. Here's the script for this. She'll do all these different scripts. I'll go in there. I'll pull them all. I'll graze through them. You know what I mean? See if there's anything that I'm like, ooh, I want to say a little different.
Yeah.
But she's gotten so good that very rarely do I want to change anything. And then I will. So nowadays I'll use a teleprompter on my phone. So I'll have my phone with the words going through, and then I'll have another camera that's getting a side angle, and I'll literally just sit there, stand there, whatever. I'll record for 45 minutes, and it's amazing when you get done in 45 minutes if you didn't have to come up with the content.
That's the kicker.
And then I just press upload, and I upload the raw stuff, right? It's not pretty. It's it's me going picking my nose, or me being that sucked, or me being okay, I'm gonna start over again, right? And then AJ and the team are cleaning it up. The things AJ has probably seen.
They pick out the good bits.
Yeah. But they go through it, and then they have a whole schedule for posting, and they're watching that, and then once a week we sit down and go, what's working and what's not working, and what do we need to tweak, and
I love it.
We use a software called Miracle, and that helps us see what's moving, and it's always
right on. Well, I just really wanted to bring in the visual aid, and this was a perfect way.
There you go. There you go.
Well, and the fact
a lot
that
of Wayne.
Just all Wayne all the time.
So
it's Wayne TV.
Yeah. No, they're getting good. Sometimes I'm like, man, this made me cry. They're getting great at some of the stuff. So, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it's really
So
fun.
now we'll start incorporating this every week, so we get our. It's the ROI.
Hey, you know what? And what we're getting better at now is what we realize is there's multiple hooks, right? So there's the hook in the text, right? So this is important to realize. So there's the one hook is in the text. that's on the screen. The other hook is in what I say. So sometimes the hook, the text hook, is not the same as what I say in the very beginning to get people in. And then the third hook has got to be in the wording. So I'm pushing them hard because like, hey, you got to have 3, and they're usually different worded hooks. So it was like boom, boom, boom.
Those are 3 different animals.
And it's a lot. It is a ton.
The actual copy is completely different. Than. And then there's also the affect of how you're saying it and what you're saying it versus if you just want to have the bullet points of what you're saying come across. Dude, all right.
Whole art. So get into
we will dive into this much more in the future. I just wanted to just off the cuff today try it as a little visual aid. All right, bro.
Bro, get fired up.
Yes. And we'll have Austin take us out. Fade to black, yo.